Praise God, and thank you for tuning into Adorn Ministries. I am Chanel, your host, and you're about to be nurtured by nature. I told you guys that there was something brewing in my spirit about women, and God wanted me to do a quick teaching on something. So I wanted to do that because God is just laying it on my heart. So there's something that He needs me to say. And so first of all, I just want to thank all of you for your support. Those of you that have not bought Adaptable Woman, please go out and get it, because God is doing something excellent and something powerful in the women. And I believe this is the season that God really wants to just take the time and strengthen the women again, and to get us fortified as women, and to understand ourselves as women. Listen, a lot of women are just all out of kilter because they don't understand how God made them, the different changes in life, our hormonal fluctuations, how to deal with the men in our lives who don't understand us. And then we mad because we think they should understand us and they don't. So I wanted to take some time and to teach on some things to help you give you some clarity and what we feel like are different transitions in life, because that's exactly what it is. And if we don't, it's not explained to us, we keep going down the same road, bumping our heads on the same things, and we're not moving forward. So today I'm going to do some teaching and just minister to the women and love on you a little bit. And I just want to talk about, I went in a little girl, but I came out a woman. And I'm going to be dealing with Esther. So I want y'all to, just buckle in and buckle down, because we're about to just go into some serious stuff. And I want to help you out. And I want you to get you to understand yourself and to know you're okay. You're not crazy. You know, all the little changes you're going through, you're not crazy. So I'm going to help you. Let's pray. Father, I thank you for the beautiful creation that you created us to be called woman. I thank you for the special anointing that you gave to us. And I also thank you, God, that you are calling us back into a place of birthing, into a place of, God, just bringing things the way they should be in our lives. And for that, I say thank you. Now, God, I just ask that you would touch my sister and that you would begin to just transfer her mind through your word, that you would minister to her in such a profound way, God. And for that, I say thank you and I praise you in Jesus' precious name. Amen. So we're going to go talk about Esther today. And I just want to give you a brief overview about Esther, so that you can get a chance to see her in a whole different light. We talk about, she went through her beautification and but there's some other things that were going on, and you're going to see the different transitions in the things that she said. But I want to start this off with an excerpt from one of my books that'll be released over the next 2 months. And it's a really, really powerful poem, but it's something that I think needs to be installed into women as a whole, so that you can understand how precious that you are. It says, I am a certified diamond and not plated with glass. My heart can be broken in man's hands, so I placed my heart in God's instead. My legs were made for more than parting, but walking into opportunities set to express my preordained creativity as a human being. My mind is so much bigger than my behind. So take your eyes off of my behind long enough to engage my intellectual maze, so that you will know that I am luxury of God's design and deserve respect and praise. My worth is non-negotiable. My voice is meant to be heard. My mind was designed to develop mankind. I am a strong, graceful woman who is meant to be desired. I am to be admired like the diamond that I am, with precision and clarity. My price is so high that one is yet to be set for me. The only thing that can be said is I am God's best. I'm an expressive, molecular breath of creativity straight from the mind of God's massive, unlimited, cataclysmic spiritual being, taking a nothing and making something as precious as me. I am an expression of God's glory in this earth. That woman is totally me, blessed and highly favored of God. Love yourself from the inside out. Listen, women, we were made to be complex beings, okay? That's something that I talk about in my book, Adaptable Woman. I give you some understanding about the woman that's on the inside of you. And that, I think, is where most women are struggling, because they don't realize the woman that is inside of them. They think that they are the woman. This is the shell, okay? This here is your shell. But there is the spirit of a woman on the inside of you. And because we never were taught that there is a woman who is a living, breathing, feeling, desiring creature, that we miss out on who she is. We miss out on the awesomeness of who God made her to be. And that's how come so many women suffer, because there's somebody warring on the inside. So I want to talk a little bit about, and this is in the book, so you're going to have to get the book because I'm not going to give it all to you. I talk about the different transitions in life. And it was so funny because last week I was standing in the hallway with my neighbor and I saw some things play out that's in my book. But I was talking about when a child is born into this world, when you have a little girl and she's birthed and she's born out of your womb, and you're holding her and you're looking in her face, you're looking in the face of a woman that has not ever been developed, untapped, just a blank spirit of a woman. Now, there is a woman on the inside of this little infant that you're looking at that's an hour old, and you have not seen her. So because we have not seen that there is a woman in her, a woman already in her, we don't begin to recognize anything till she's about 13 years old. So we got this infant, and she's growing up, she likes to hold you, she feels good when you're holding her, and she's just laying her face up on your face, and she just she's, oh, I want to be all under you. You get to about a year old, and she's standing there, and she's got her little doll, and she's got her little broken dialect, and she holds it and says, my baby, my baby, my baby. Why? Because what is it that she's seeing? That is the first glimpse of the woman that's inside of her. Okay, so now the learned behavior that mommy holds me like this and I'm her baby is now connecting to the woman that's inside of her. Now, here's where the first teaching mode has to come in, and you have to be direct with a 1-year-old. I know y'all gonna be like, really? Yes. That's why the Bible says train up a child. When you have this little toddler and she's standing in front of you at 1 year old, she's holding her baby down and says, this is my baby. You have to redirect her thinking, because that is the first thing that's going to be locked into her brain. If you say, yeah, that's your baby, and you say baby, in the corner of her mind, she has now got locked in her mind, that's my baby. So baby is now locked in her mind, and mothering is locked into her mind. Now, instead of saying, yes, that's my baby, you say, no, baby, you're the baby, and that's your friend. You're mommy's baby, and that's your friend. Because we want to redirect her thinking and understanding of, I'm supposed to have a baby. Because we don't realize those small little seeds, everything is a seed. Let me show you. Like, you can have a child that's upstairs crying their eyes out and screaming to the top of their lungs. When you get to the top of the stairs, the child, you get about to the top of the stairs and the child stops crying. Why? Because they want to hear if you're coming, because they've now come into the understanding that, I call them little liars. That's a little liar stage, because now they hear you coming and they recognize, if I cry, that makes her come. Even if there's nothing wrong with me. If I cry, she gonna come get me out this bed, because she gonna feel so sympathetic that she can't stand to see me upset. So she gonna charge up those stairs and she's coming to get me. That's truth. Now, so if that is already in an infant, and that mentality, and that's locked in their brain, don't think that that little small thing of not saying, honey, no, that's your friend. You're my baby, and that's your friend. Is not going to lock in their mind, because their ideas are being cultivated in those small ages. And those are going to be very distinctive times that you want to make sure that you begin to cultivate that, because there is a woman in there, but she has not been cultivated and she has not been taught correctly. Okay. So as they continue to go on, even the toys that we get for our for our daughters are, Barbie, and Barbie is, she's got boobs, she got a big behind. Barbie's with Ken, they in a relationship. And so what is she getting in her mind? Okay, I'm supposed to be in a relationship. Then they got crazy, and then Barbie had a baby with Ken. Now, did they ever say that Barbie was married? No. But here it is. We're cultivating an ideal in the mind of our infant. Now, let me give you something else. For those that are not married and you're a single parent, remember, they're going to act out what they see you doing. So if you're not married Okay. Yeah. So what? Sometimes we mess up. We have a child out of wedlock. Blah blah blah. It happens. Get over it. Okay. But when you now have a daughter and you're standing in front of your daughter and you've got uncle this one and uncle that one and uncle this one running in and out of your house, remember she goes upstairs and plays with her dolls, and now she's acting out with her dolls what you're doing. Okay, so she wakes us up to go to the bathroom and sees Uncle so-and-so coming out of your room. Okay, when she's playing in her room, she's now acting out Uncle so-and-so coming out of your room. Everything goes in there. Just because you don't see you don't see the fruit of it now, does not mean that was not implanted in that little child at that moment. So what you have to do is remember, everything now is geared towards sex and relationships. You can look at a razor commercial. And I mean, it's just sex down. Oh, she's rubbing on his face, and he didn't shaved, and and them brothers, sitting there like, man, I got to go get that razor, because if it's gonna make her touch me like that, I need to go get that now. So it goes to show you how the enemy understands the gates, what we hear, what we see, what we feel, what we taste. So he comes at our senses all the time, but know that he's coming even harder at our little children, and we have to guard our children with all diligence from these different things that are coming to contaminate their senses. So here it is, you're growing up, you come out of your toddler stage. Now you're starting to go through the changes. Okay, because now we have to learn how to bathe ourselves correctly, because we have different equipment than men, and we're looking at these little things on our chest going, what in the world is that? So we're going through different changes. We got to learn how to wear dresses right. We have to learn how to walk. We have to learn how to keep our legs closed when we have a skirt on. We have to learn how to stand straight. We have to learn how to, how to be respectful, how to be a young lady, a little girl, so you're getting on these little princess dresses on, and you're going through your different changes. Okay, well, what happens is when you get to 10 to 13 years old, that's when another shift comes in your life. Now you're transitioning from the toddler into a little adolescence. And so now you're learning some different things. You're going through the hormonal flux, because now your body's getting ready for your monthly, your menstrual cycle. And now you're one moment you're sitting there, next one, and so we're looking at this child going, who the devil is? No, that's it. That's the devil. No. It's called the process of life. And so we have to learn how to go with the different fluctuations. I was listening to Bishop Jakes one day, and I was laughing so hard because I understood what he was saying. He was talking about how, he was going through his change, and he said he didn't know who his wife was, and she was a monster, and, she was going through these different changes. But we all go through these changes. But nobody stops to say, listen, women, you're going to go through changes. I also talk about that is why we have to protect our children even more. Because between the ages of 13 and the 17 is during the time that our children, a lot of young girls get pregnant right there in that age, because now all the things that we have not been caught and not have been taught now begins to bear fruit. So now you have this little girl that has listened to My Body Is Your Party. And she's watching Miley Cyrus twerking on the TV, and you so silly with yourself, got your daughter talking about, oh baby, come here, show them how you was doing that, and she just grinding. You talking about that girl, she can dance, she just grinding. You think that's cute, and that's a seed that's going in her mind. Then at 13 years old, and I'm talking, and this can be for saved women or unsaved women. At 13, 14 years old, you notice that her breast is, she's growing breasts now, her behind is getting a little bigger, and her clothes is getting a little tighter. She wants to get, skirts that's a little shorter. And one day she come out the room, and you about pass out because you went, ho, 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 whoa, whoa. And you are who? But you try, and you say, I take you to church. Why is you dressing like that? Well, guess what? Nicktoons, Nickteens, and all of these other different little soap operas that come on for children now, where they kissing at 14, 15 years old, not realizing those actresses that is on that show, they're probably already 18 to 25 years old. They just look young, and they're playing a teenager, and they're being hoodwinked. And so because you don't know what's going on, they all off in the room by themselves. They got them headphones on, just bobbing. And you say, oh, she just at peace. Oh, she's such a good looker. But the devil all along says, because you don't know there's a woman in there that you need to be cultivating, and you're just teaching her the basic stuff. I'm the one that's giving her a point of view as a woman. And so now I have got a hold of her mind. I've planted seeds in it, and now there's water on it. So now you see this child, she's having all these desires. Why? Because there's an awakening going on in your child underneath your nose that you don't know anything about. She's watching stuff. They sending her messages on her text phone, on her cell phone, texting her naked pictures and stuff. And you just say, oh, I got her a cell phone because I needed to know what, if I go away, she okay. She 14, 13 years old. And because you don't know, okay, she got a girl's name. There's a boy calling her and texting her under a girl's name. Okay, let me say that again. Now there's a little boy that's texting her under a little boy that's texting under a girl's name, and you ain't went and checked. Oh, Amber, that's just Amber. You never read the message. You never looked on it. You never knew nothing. And so what's happening? Seeds are steady being planted. Seeds are steady being planted. And now you got this big monster because now she's sexually aware of herself. She's sexually open. Now she is, the listening to the music is awakening stuff because now she's imagining in her mind what's going in, because the enemy, everything that goes into our ear gate and our eye gate is either accepted or rejected. And if it's accepted, it goes in the mind and it's in the video slot. Hallelujah, Jesus, that nobody knew it was there. And so what I want you to understand is there's a lot of developmental things that we're missing in our stages. So there's a woman that's underdeveloped that's inside of you. Okay, you get through 17, or if you didn't get pregnant, thank God, you might have fooled around a little bit. Thank God you didn't get pregnant. And if you did, you're doing your thing, but you're trying to raise your child, because you didn't had one. So here it is. We still are a little girl. Let me tell you something. I tell a lot of young girls, they come to me and I'm 18 years old. And I'm like, okay, you're still a child. You are still a child. I did not realize, even though I had a child at 17, I had to grow up very quickly, at a young age, like 13, 14. My mother had my brother, who's Down syndrome. I love that baby to death. And he was sick. So for like the first 8 years of his life, they were spent on the road in the hospital. I was on my own. I was doing my thing because I didn't have no supervision because they were trying to take care of my brother. And so that woman was underdeveloped. Nobody was there. My dad said to me one day, he said, I feel bad because we didn't do anything for you. We really didn't raise you. We were either at church or at the hospital. And so, I realized you were basically on your own. And it was true. I was, raising myself. I didn't know a lot of stuff. And then here it is, this woman that's undeveloped in me is a child. And so here I am, early 20s, and I'm mature. But some of my thinking was off. Why? Because there were foundational things that I should have got as a young child that here it was, I had no clue about. Yeah, I knew about going to church. Let me tell you something. Mothers, let me help you. Okay? Just because you're sending your daughter to church does not mean that you're creating her to be a good woman. I'm giving her Jesus. Yeah, you're giving her Jesus. But Jesus wants you to give her some other things. Give her some foundational teaching. Teach her about the woman and the desires, because they get to the age of 15, 13 to 17, and they begin to feel that woman wants to nurture. She wants to be in relationship. She wants to experience intimacy, but it's not time for that, because now all of this stuff that's raising your daughter and giving her foundational principles that you should be giving her, and these foundational principles are not from God. So they're lacking. And so that is what happens. And so, here we are, we're dealing with Esther. Esther's parents, died when she was younger. And so she was an orphan, and, her name was Hadassah. And so here we have Hadassah. She comes to live with her cousin, and, she got to change her name to Mordecai because they don't want, to Esther, because he does not want it to be known that she's a Jew. Okay. And so she gives up her slave name and she becomes her Jewish slave name, and she becomes Esther. Now, Esther went into this. Here it is. He's like, hey, I think, the king's looking for a woman. I think you got a chance, girl. Yeah, you got a chance. Now, first of all, she's got some strikes against her because she does not have her mother. I've been talking about, we are dealing with a motherless generation. Either the mother was not in the home, or she was in the home and she was a hot mess, or she was emotionally cold, or she has, she's had to work, so she was a latchkey kid. Okay, so when you don't have your mother teaching you how to be nurturing, how to be loving, how to be the young woman, and how to understand the feelings and the emotions that you feel, you're kind of lacking. You can have the attributes of a woman and look like a woman and still be a little girl on the inside of you. And so here it is. Esther is 14 years old and she's thrust into the middle of a beauty, basically almost like a beauty pageant looking for a woman. You know, he's doing the speed dating, you know. Yeah, bring them all before me. I'll give him a few minutes, test them out, see who I like, and then you know, bring a few back. She's 14, not a woman. She's a little girl. And there's a woman inside of her, but she don't understand it. So a lot of people give Esther, you know, a little hard time because they don't understand how old she really was. She may have had the attributes of a woman, but she was not a woman. And so here it is, you know, she goes in, she doing the best she can. She finds favor. The king's like, you know, hey, you know, I think, yeah, bring her back. Bring her back. So not only has she not been taught, you know, but she is, you know, in the middle of something that she has no idea about. So what happens? She finds favor. And so he says, listen, I need to put her in your hands. Can you give her a personal tutor because she needs to be trained? She needs to go through the beauty treatments just like everybody else. He said, but I need for her to grow up some. So you're going to have to mentor this one because, you know, I can see the potential in her. I can see she's going to be a good queen, but we just need to get her some, you know, I want to see what she looks like after she's gone through the making, the molding, and the shaping. And you begin to develop the little girl that's in her, because right now she gonna be a beautiful woman and an excellent woman, but right now she's a little girl. And so she had the personal trainer, she had the personal, you know, mentor. He's, you know, getting her beautified. He's working with her mind, you know, because she's a little girl. Okay. And so because she had a lot to learn, you know, she gets, you know, she's selected, she comes in there, and now she's like, okay, you know, cool. I didn't done this, you know, I'm good. You know, I'm a little girl. And, you know, in her mind, I'm a woman. You ain't no woman. You're struggling. You want to know how I know? Because when they first came to her, Mordecai says, you know, hey, we got some problems, you know, and this dude over here, Haman, is tripping out. He's trying to kill all the Jews. And I need you to, you know, to step up. And she's like, and you want me to do what? That was the response of a little girl. That's like, you know, you coming up to me and saying, you know, your son is out there punching that little boy in the face. And I say, and you want me to do what about it? It wasn't in her yet to respond, because she responded just like a child would do. Not even, I'm not even concerned. That was her thing. Like, what you want me to get involved? You crazy? I better got killed. Seriously? No, you let them handle that. I'm praying for the Jews. That was the response of a little girl. And so many of us are finding ourselves in transitions. I talk about in my book how every almost 10 years we go through a transition. And so it's like we have, in the middle of these 10 years, men, I'm going to help you if you're watching this. You got maybe 5 good years right there in the middle. Because I remember coming out of my teens into my early 20s, I was buck wild. You hear me? Buck wild. And, you know, I remember I wanted to play football. My mother wouldn't let me try for the football team. I was so mad at her. But I was buck wild. I was tomboyed out. I was a fighter. You know, I just loved to throw down with the boys. All of my male cousins, they probably going to be like, yes, were afraid of me because I was a fighter. I'd fight a man and a boy. I didn't care. So here I was, a buck wild little girl, because I was left to raise myself. And so, I knew how to look cute and stuff. And I knew, you know, the basic things. But I didn't understand the characteristics of the woman. I didn't understand the importance of keeping, you know, I was told don't have sex. But I didn't understand the importance of that. I didn't understand the feelings that was in me. Because one day I woke up like, I don't think I want to get married, but, you know, I want to try the relationship thing. I'm going to try to be monogamous with one person. This is like 1920. That didn't work out so well. And so, you know, after he tried to kill me, I walked away and was like, done with that. You know, but I was still raising my children, a child raising children. I had 2 little boys at a young age. So here I am, I'm trying to raise them, you know, and I just kind of swore off relationships. I did not date anyone for 10 years. 10 years. I did my stuff, but 10 years I was like, no. They come at me. I don't want a relationship with you. I don't even think I want to get married. So, you know, cut that. So here it was, this little girl underdeveloped. She don't know nothing about being a woman. And I get into my mid-20s and I'm starting to level out a little bit. You know, and I'm just like, you know, okay, you know, life is good. And I'm starting to make small decisions a little better. I hit 28, 29, and I woke up one day and was like, who are you? Where did you come from? And what on earth have you done with your life? I'm 28. I can remember, it's still to this day, I remember the message that I preached that Sunday morning when I woke up. It was right around my birthday. And that old Tyler Perry with his writing self had wrote, I think, the Family That Prays. And I watched that movie, and you talking about somebody that cried. I scared my kids and some of my friends. I cried for 3 days because I began to realize I hadn't lived, because I was, had health issues that came to the light when I was like 19 years old. And, so I've been a mother, and I had went to church all the time, and that was it. I didn't do anything else. I didn't live. I didn't do anything. So now all of a sudden there's something on the inside of me that's waking up, and I'm not understanding what's happening. And I'm just like, and especially because I was a tomboy, so I wasn't no emotional person. I didn't cry. When my father passed, I was told don't cry. So all that was shut down. Wasn't no crying. I'd just sit there, and that's why people said they, Chanel, you kind of scared me a little bit because I was emotionless. You can tell if I was happy or if I was mad. I had a blank face. And so, here's all these emotions. All of a sudden they wake up in me at like 29. I'm just crying. My mama's scared because she like, oh, this fool has lost it. She don't cry. And I didn't. And so now here I'm going in from one transition of life into another, into my 30s. So for about 3 years, I'm just going berserk because I'm just crying. First time I really felt what death felt like, my pastor called me and said, are you okay? And I was like, no, because I had never felt those emotions. So all of us transition in different areas and ways in our lives. And men don't understand it because they looking at you one day and they like, I just love her. She goes into this one transition into the next, from one age to the next, and her mind begins to shift. Her hormones are changing, her body is changing, and you sitting there going, she crazy. She need to be on medication. She doesn't need to be on no medication. You just have to understand that this woman is transitioning from one phase into another. So she's coming out of her 20s, which is the young woman, into beginning phases of the woman. And so here it is between 30 and 33. You see her go from, and she levels out. Why? Because now she's come fully into that next transition. Then all of a sudden, about 39, here she comes again. She's transitioning again in life. Her body's changing. Her mind is changing. We've gone from different levels of wisdom. We went from I knew it all to I'm getting some experiential wisdom and knowledge. And so now our choices are different. I used to tell people, listen, be careful getting married in your 20s, because what you like in your early 20s, you're going to look at when you're 29 and be like, I used to be like, yeah, I want the thug, because I was a thug. Older now, don't give me no thug. I need somebody, I need to be stern and be firm and let me know he ain't joking. But I don't need you hollering at me, pulling on my hair, throwing me down on the floor. I got to be fighting you and stuff. I got older now. I can't deal with all that. I can't deal with foolishness. I'm just quick to cut you and say, I'm done. I'm not on here. You got nothing to say to me. Because I'm in that age now where it's just like, look, I just want to chill and sit back. I tell my kids all the time, listen, I retired the thug. I done put my fist down. Okay. Let me go somewhere, sit down and be pretty. Just let me sit in the corner and be pretty and watch y'all and smile and see. So I just love you guys. You're just so sweet. Don't make me have to come out to the, And so, we get to that age where we start to settle down a little bit. We start to go blah, blah, blah. And so the thing about it with men, and I think this is why a lot of men struggle in their relationships, because they look up one day and say, we just grew apart. It wasn't so much that you grew apart. It's just the woman changed and you did not realize the change. And when she began to mature, we evolve and we mature into different people, you missed the change and you didn't see how to change with her. And so you come into a place where you have to find her again. You have to, be able to go with the changes in life. It happens. It's just the process of getting older, maturing as a woman. And I just want to tell you, women, you're not crazy. Yes, you're looking at yourself. You don't recognize yourself. You don't even sound the same. You keep fearing yourself and you sound like your mother. Yes. That's just maturity coming in. I had my dad laughing a couple weeks ago. I said, I used to hear them singing by and by when the morning comes. We'll understand it better by and by. I said, I can sing that song. I just be crying. I understand it. I understand it better by and by. Why? Because I'm coming to the by and by. Not that I'm old. No, I'm coming into a place of maturity. And I think that's going to be important for us as women to be able to understand that I'm coming into maturity. I'm living one phase of life into another. And even as you get older, no matter how old you get, because let me tell you something, we have to mature faster than men. We have to. There's no choice. Because listen, you've got daughters and you've got sons. And so you don't have a choice. So you're coming in and out of your 20s where you just buck wild, and God says, settle that down. Settle it down. Because if you have a daughter, you're doing three things. You've got to now take the woman, become a woman, so that you can teach the little girl in your house to be a woman. You can show her how to carry herself as a woman. And also what she, how to live in the house with her husband. Because if you a party girl, that's what you're going to produce. If you don't correct those ways, you're planting seeds that's going to go along. So you planting seeds to be trifling, and then you planting the TV planting seeds to be trifling, and the music that she listening to is saying be trifling. Now you got this little trifling being in your house. Why? Because there was too many seeds that were being planted that you didn't deal with. And I can say that, I'm kind of glad that I haven't had my daughter. I didn't have my daughter first, and I have 3 boys, and I believe when I get married, I'll have my daughter. But, God had to take me into the place, because if I had my daughter first, she'd have been buck wild. I can tell y'all, she'd have been buck wild. She'd have been trifling. I'd have been sitting up somewhere in jail, because she would have been buck wild. And I know that. So that's why God had to give me the boys first, because I was a little thugged out and I need to be able to deal with my boys. And my daughter would not have been able to handle it, because through my transitions in life, even though I didn't, have a whole bunch of men running in and out of my house, because I learned that from my mother. When my father passed away, my mother did not have no men coming through our house talking about this uncle so-and-so. She didn't play that. She was a real woman, so she taught me how to do that. Now, did I do my dirt? Oh, I did my dirt, but my kids never knew about it that I know of. Let's put it that way. So know this, that everything that you do as women, we have to think about our children. We have to think about, and our daughters and our sons. Here we've got our sons that's sitting in there. And, if you have Uncle so-and-so running in and out of her house, he's going to be comfortable enough when he gets older to be that Uncle so-and-so running out of some other woman's house, and their children is in their house. Also, you're supposed to teach them what a woman should be. So if you are just trifling, they're going to get a trifling woman and bring her stand in front of you. And you're going to be talking about, now you done brought Quantanisha up in my house. That ain't going to work. But then he's saying, but this is how you are. Sour medicine. Also, we're teaching them what a wife should be. And if you're not giving that example, that's really going to give you some trouble. So what I came to say today is that we're going through changes. I'm going through changes. I know I'm driving the brother in my life probably crazy right now, because when I met him, I was a little girl. But now I've become a woman. Esther went into the palace as a little girl. But because of the things she had to go into, the ministry that she had to go into, she now had to become a woman. And there was no choice. There's ministries and things on the inside of me that when I first started, I was a little girl. But now I'm in my mid-30s. I'm coming into this transition and I'm settled. And the things that I used to feel like have gone. Now I demand some stuff. Before it was just like, but now I understand I am priceless, baby. I'm an expensive woman, and you are too. I'm going to be respected. I want to be loved. I want to be nurtured. I want intimacy. I want to spend time. It's like my kids. I have a son that, just takes me there sometimes. But let me tell you something. Every day I see his face and I just light up. I love my kids. I love, spending time. So for me, I'm in the place of nesting. I want the family. I want all of those things. And I'm demanding that, because I'm realizing, listen, whoever comes into my life, and ladies, let me help you out. When you're dealing with, trying to, choose a mate, think about these things, because when you dating someone, and this is in one of my book that's coming out in the next week or so, and I want y'all to be looking for, it's for single parents. You're going to really want to pick this up. They're not just dating you, they're dating your children. Okay. I went through this. My mother kind of forced this guy on my kids, and I was upset about it, because we dated we started talking for a minute, and I went out on our first date. My mother, we went to the same church, and my mother was supposed to watch the kids, but she was so set on this is her husband, and I just didn't feel it. But she convinced me, to try it out anyway. So anyway, when I left to go home to get dressed, my mother wanted to put the family thought on him to see what it was going to be on our first date. And he showed up at my house with my kids. And so now they had spent time together. We couldn't go out. And I was upset about it, because now I told my mom, if it don't work out and they get attached to him because they were hungry for male attention, it's going to break their hearts. And it did. It broke their hearts because they were attached to this man. And so remember, when you're dating, your kids are dating. So we're dating him. Okay. If he has kids, you're dating them. because you're coming together as one. So even if he does not meet them first, and don't introduce them to your children right off the bat. I don't care what nobody said. You need to make sure that this is somebody that's going to stay. Because if you introduce them to your children and they're like mine, they were hungry for attention. If it don't work out, they're going to hate men altogether. They're not going, and then they're going to fight everybody you bring to the door. Everybody, they're going to hate them all because of one experience. So protect yourself, protect your children. When you're making decisions, women, think about us. I don't make decisions for Chanel. I have 4 people all together, me and the 3, that I have to make decisions on, because one bad decision gonna mess up everybody in the crib. And so I have to think about that. So know that you're women, know that you're changing. Brothers, look, we're not crazy. As we transition, sometimes you might have to find. That's why the Bible says, findeth, ETH, meaning you have to continue to find me. Just because you found me 10 years ago don't mean that today I'm still the same person. You got to find me again. You got to reintroduce yourself to me, and I reintroduce myself to you, and know that we're just evolving. And as we go and we age, we evolve into different creatures, but we become better. But if you don't understand the change and you're treating us the way that you treated us when we were 20, you're going to get resistance, because now we're saying, "Now wait a minute, what, what you say? You talking to me? You want what? You think I'm gonna seriously?" Because now we're coming into a mature person and into that woman, and that woman is saying, "Wait, whoa, that's foolishness. I ain't gonna do that. Are you serious? You want me? Who? You said that? What? Well, you better get that together, because who are you talking to?" And then when she come out of a bag, you be like, what? Oh, see, she crazy. No. You just have to understand the woman that you have and how to find her. I just pray for all of the women today. Know that you're going through transitions. If you need help and you don't understand it, you're going through hormonal fluxes, and 1 minute you're crying and 1 minute it's because there's emotional hormonal things that are changing in your body, and you're coming into different phases, and it's okay. Just know what's going on. If it seems a little bit severe, go find somebody. Also, for women that are in ministry, I was, when I was in my younger 20s, it's like I would hoop, holler, just break it down. Now I'm in a more of a mothering state, and I'm just like, look, let me give y'all some wisdom. Let me teach you some things, because I can hoop and holler just like the best of them, the rest of them, but that's just not where I'm at anymore. I'm in a place of, I just need to teach, because if I don't teach you who you are, you're never going to become to the fullness of the beautiful creature that God made you to be. And to tell you, you're not crazy. You're just changing. All right, guys, you have been nurtured by nature. I want you to remind you, books are coming out. This teaching I'm going to post today, because I'm not selling this one, because it's an urgency in my spirit to just begin to release it, because I see a lot of women that are changing. They're going through ministry. They're going into an older place in maturity. God is switching their ministries. He's changing the things about them. He's changing their nature, and they're becoming more loving, more nurturing. Some of them are coming a little bit more closed and need to be reopened by their husband, and he's got to find the key to that. It's all about knowing the woman that you have and understanding her transition. Notice if she changes. Notice how she changes. When you begin to see how she changes, that you'll be able to minister to her there where she is. Because sometimes when we're hard, because I was a hard one, and then all of a sudden we become open and just like, I want to be loved, and I want you to hold me, and I want you to hug me, and I want you to call my name and tell me how beautiful I am, and I want you to go, I want you to hold my heart, I want you to go, I want you to call me 3 times a day, and I want you to tell me how much you love me, and I want you. She's changing. Because before it was just you just text me. All of a sudden you be like, yeah, because what's happening? Then this is for married couples and people dating. And I'm going to close with this. I promise. You see, that's the preacher in me right there. This is going to be the last time I tell you this. And I say it more times. When you're in a relationship and you're married, my mother said something that made sense to me. The Bible said, and they became one flesh. They became one flesh. Meaning there was a process. Just because I meet you today doesn't mean we're one. We have to come together as one. That's why you see people when they get in their 60s and 70s, where they may have not gotten along when they were younger, they've gotten along. Why? Because she's gone through her changes and she's come into a place of maturity, and he's come out of his little boy in his 30s and 40s, in your 30s and 40s, and coming into a man, and he's struggling with that. And when you begin to become settled within yourself, it's easier to become one, because now we're not boxing each other. Now you understand me, I understand you, and we just then come to our understanding, and now we're able to flow together as a couple. That's what happens. But it all is a part of the becoming. So know that the changes that you're going through, he going through changes, you going through changes. You ought to be understanding and see what, okay, what changes you going through. Okay, yeah, you didn't cross over the 40 line. Okay, I understand. You trying to keep your little manhood together. I understand. I understand you feeling this way. Yeah, I understand. And try to work with each other. If you don't work with each other, you're going to be unhappy with each other. And then that thing is just not going to work. But know, if you know the changes, you'll make it. Okay, guys, you guys have been nurtured by nature. God bless you. Pick up the book Adaptable Woman and look out for my second book, Unbalanced. God bless you. Bye-bye.